Welcome, and welcome back to the TDL project. It's time to cross off yet another week in our countdown. I had intended to use this week to wind down a little, take care of myself, and spend some time with my cat. Working 44 to 52-hour weeks, getting ready to move across state lines, and beginning an ambitious personal project is a lot to balance, and that makes it all the more important that I actually schedule self-care into my time. If I burn myself out, every aspect of the next couple of months will suffer. In some aspects, I think I succeeded, and in some aspects, I didn't. The weekend was very productive, but a little overwhelming. I finished my pet sitting gig, took on another impromptu pet sitting gig, which would have been on my way home, but I forgot to bring the house key with me when I left, so I had to go back and get it. The 2 cats were angels though, so it was definitely worth it. I tackled the massive clean out of my iCloud storage, worked on editing, went grocery and pet supply shopping, made a giant pot of sausage and kale soup. This time we added some leftover Napa cabbage, and I think it was a wonderful addition. And mostly completed the clean out of the dining room. To be honest, not everything is packed up, and we're leaving the pantry for next weekend as part of our first round of kitchen organization. But we've sorted through everything. We have a bunch of stuff to list for sale and a plan on who's taking what during the move. And overall, I feel really good about everything we accomplished, especially considering the time we had available. But I'll tell you, after all of that, I was exhausted. And this next part is where I can say I met some of my expectations for the week. I did succeed in spending a good amount of time with Aki, after work and in between apartment chores. However, I did not do a very good job of focusing on recuperation. Part of it was trying to be an emotional support for a loved one who was struggling, but I think the largest part was that I felt a little guilty if I wasn't trying to get something done. Even when I was spending time with Aki, I was still thinking about my to-do list. What can I get done while I'm spending time with Aki? Do I do some more editing? Do I do some more clean out? Do I try listing some furniture? Which a little bit defeated the purpose of having a day off. And then, a little later in the week, practically on a whim, I tackled my taxes. I sat down to complete a much smaller task of calculating how much rent my roommate needed to pay me for the month, and ended up filling out tax forms instead. Which is totally fine. Great even. I finished my taxes over a month before they due, and I even finished my original task of figuring out rent in addition to that. On the other side of that, though, is just the sheer amount of work that was required to do that. I'm self-employed, and self-employment taxes are, in my opinion, a little ridiculous. They're complicated and frustrating if you don't know what you're doing, and at least for me, they've been a considerable source of stress. Stress I took on in a week where my intention was recuperation. And at the end of that week, we had a friend over. We watched a movie, I spooled some yarn, we played some video games. All amazing things. I had a fabulous time, but all of those amazing things require so much energy. So, in conclusion, this was a great week. It was highly productive, full of quality time with friends and family, which is never a bad thing. And I'm really grateful that I was able to be present in all of those many moments. I am also still very tired. I'm going to try and slow things down a little bit more next week. We're working on the kitchen over the weekend, but after that, my only real goal is some recuperation. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see how this goes next week. Here's a little bonus content. I hope you enjoy. Anytime we open the fridge, Aki has a tendency to stick her head in the door, and she won't leave until you try and shut the door on her face. While we were cuddling, she was making biscuits on my face and accidentally caught her claw on my lip, and that's why I made that funny face. Oh, runaway cabbage. Bye, guys.